In the next part of our study of the characteristics of the beast, we're going to look at the characteristics that we find in Daniel chapter 7. And we're going to look at that this little horn power, which is the same as the beast power in Revelation 13, in Daniel 7, we see that it plucked up 3 horns by the roots. So let's look at this scripture. In Daniel 7, verses 7 and 8, it says this: After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. And he devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were the eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So here we see that this beast in Daniel 7 has 10 horns. And among these 10 horns came up this little horn. And this little horn plucked up 3 of the first horns by the roots. Let's look at this a little closer in Daniel 7:20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth speaking very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. It continues on in verse 23. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and it shall tread it down and break it into pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Okay, here again we see that this little horn power, which is part of that 4th beast, which is part of the Roman Empire, would pluck up 3 of these horns. So here we have a list of these horns. They represent these barbarian tribes that invaded the Roman Empire. There were the Huns, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Franks, Vandals, Suebi, Heruli, Burgundians, Anglo-Saxons, and Lombards. And the beast would pluck up 3 of these powers, or these nations that would come in invading the Roman Empire. These 3 were the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, and the Heruli. So why were these 3 plucked up versus the others? Well, these 3 actually were persecuting the beast and its followers. And there was war between them. And a lot had to do with religious beliefs. These 3 tribes, these 3 barbarian tribes, had a belief that Jesus was the Son of God, where this was in direct conflict with the beliefs of the beast and its followers. And so these 3 horns were plucked up, were the Heruli in AD 493, the Vandals in 534, and the Ostrogoths in 553. However, the effective opposition of the Ostrogoths to the decree of Justinian occurs when they were driven from Rome by Belarus in 538 AD. And so here we see these 3 barbarian tribes that were plucked up by the roots. That means they ceased to exist. They were totally destroyed. There's no trace of any type of heritage from these 3 people groups. And it was Justinian, the Roman Empire, working for the beast, working to protect the beast, is the one that went to war against these three tribes and overcame them and totally destroyed them. So what was this decree of Justinian? Well, here we find it here. Therefore we have made no delay in subjecting and uniting to your holiness all the priests of the whole East. We cannot suffer that anything which relates to the state of the church, however manifest and unquestionable, should be moved without the knowledge of your holiness, who is the head of all the holy churches. For in all things, as we have already declared, we are anxious to increase the honor and the authority of your apostolic chair. So this is the decree that Justinian, the emperor of the Roman Empire, made in regards to the beast. And so thus he carried through on this by being involved in this war against these three tribes and overcame them and totally destroyed them. So there were 7 other invading tribes. Yes, they invaded the Roman Empire. And yes, they conquered it. But what's interesting about these tribes, in spite of their pagan beliefs, they were eventually converted to the religion of the beast. And the beast would incorporate some of their pagan beliefs into its own religion to draw them in, such as praying to dead saints, or kissing the statue of Jupiter, and now it became the statue of Peter. So there were multiple belief systems that these pagan tribes had that the beast incorporated into its religious system. We have one more characteristic to look at, and it's found in Daniel 7. It describes that the beast, or the little horn power in Daniel 7, thinks to change times and laws. We'll look at this and see what the Bible has to say, and then we'll compare it to the statements of the beast, and it will be clear when we look at all these characteristics who the beast is of Revelation 13 and that little horn power of Daniel 7. May God continue to bless you as you study his word.